тебя не слышу, у меня китайский нет.
Уважаемые коллеги, недавнее расширение БРИКС и растущее количество заявок на вступление перевод работает, да? Да. Со стороны различных государств сформировавшейся в БРИКС модели международного сотрудничества.
International cooperation based on mutual cooperation and dialogue. The state BRIC countries are in favor of fostering a stable world order, which in its turn calls for following the principles of law in international relations. Undoubtedly, the achievements of these purposes is impossible without an active position of legal communities of the BRICS countries. The ninth legal forum of the BRICS countries is a platform where the representatives of legal communities seek to look for effective legal solutions that are on the agenda of the BRICS member states. During the plenary session today, we'll identify the main areas of our activities in order to further strengthen cooperation between member states of the BRICS countries in legal matters. The motto of today's meeting is law safeguarding a fair world. For a certain period of time, our philosopher, Mr. Sergei Alexeyev, published a book which says that related to the Kant philosophy and law safeguarding a fair world, that's possible only when law is protected itself. If the participants, including such participants of today's forum, will once again return to the basic and fundamental principles of law, which unfortunately are sometimes undermined: the private property, access to justice, many other values. Dear colleagues, it's a great honor for me to give the floor to Mr. Sergei Stepashin, Chairman of the Association of Lawyers of the Russian Federation. Dear colleagues, dear friends, I would like to begin my short intervention with the welcoming remarks to the 9th BRICS Legal Forum from the President of the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Putin, who is a lawyer himself. By the way, Mr. Putin has the membership card number 1 of the Association of Lawyers of Russia. That's the only organization he's a member of. Dear friends, I cordially welcome you on the occasion of the opening of the 9th BRICS Legal Forum. Direct, informal communication between authoritative legal scholars and practicing lawyers from the BRICS countries is becoming increasingly in demand, particularly in view of the recent expansion of this association of countries. The theme of this forum, Law for a Just and Fair World, is fully in line with the priorities of the Russian BRICS chairmanship and undoubtedly corresponds to the common desire of the participating countries to achieve a truly democratic, multipolar world order based on clear and binding legal norms. The agenda of today's forum includes a wide range of issues related to international justice, legal education and science, the legal dimension of trade and investment exchanges, intellectual property, mechanisms for the settlement of cross-border commercial disputes, and the protection of the legitimate interests of citizens in various spheres. I'm confident that your discussions today will be informative and constructive, and the proposals and initiatives put forward will serve to further develop the mutually beneficial partnership among the BRICS countries. I would like to sincerely thank the organizers of today's forum and wish its participants successful, fruitful work and all the best. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation. We also have welcome remarks from the chairperson of the Federation Council of the Russian Federation. She noted that Russia and the BRICS countries share common approaches to shaping a just multipolar world. The desire to be guided by universally recognized principles and norms of international law and rejection of attempts to impose a neo-colonial model of international relations on the world community. We aim to create effective legal mechanisms to address global problems in the areas of food and energy security, combating climate change and preserving the environment, says the chair of the Federation Council in her welcoming address. Dear colleagues, over the next 2 days we are to discuss issues of great importance to all the BRICS countries. I would like to share with you some of the ideas. Yesterday was an important Youth Day of the Forum. We called it the Youth Day of the Forum of the BRICS countries, and I believe that one of the tasks is to bring together the youth of the BRICS countries to discuss issues of international relations, information space, culture, art, and certainly law. And by the way, today we have invited representatives of a number of Russian universities, including MGIMO University, we're at. And by the way, I'd like to congratulate our university and its rector, Mr. Torkunov, my friend, that yesterday Mr. Putin signed a decree and MGIMO, our university, I will continue calling it my MGIMO, it has been awarded the Order of Alexander Nevsky, which is an important achievement. Congratulations. On the main days of the forum today and tomorrow, we'll discuss a variety of topics. The program has turned out to be quite interesting from my point of view, very substantive and, most importantly, quite topical, which is in line with the current agenda of the BRICS countries. Let me say that in about a month, heads of BRICS countries will get together in this country in the city of Kazan. Among the important issues I'd like to highlight digitalization and the introduction of AI elements in legal procedures, including court proceedings, as well as the improvement of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. As I know, Mr. Chuchenko, Minister of Justice, who is present today and who will address today's plenary session, conducted a summit of justice ministers of BRICS countries, and these issues were also on the agenda of that meeting. Another important issue is the legal protection of economic relations. It is crucial for the emerging economies of the BRICS countries to attract international investment. Russia knows it very well. To this end, it's necessary to establish mechanisms for protecting investors' rights and resolving disputes at the international level, protecting intellectual property rights. At the same time, investors should comply with national laws, respect local traditions, and never become instruments for imposing foreign values. This is something that all of us have experienced one way or another. We must continue to be professional, and professionalism implies mutual respect and a clear understanding of the limit of what is permissible. Here at MGIMO University, we have brought together not just experts, but also decision-makers. I'm confident that the ideas that will be voiced today will be, and I'm convinced, will be translated into specific actions tomorrow. I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, the Ministry of Science and Higher Education, the Ministry of Justice of the Russian Federation, the Commissioner for Human Rights of the Russian Federation, and the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service for their active participation in preparing the program of the 9th BRICS Legal Forum and organizing its discussions and relevant sessions. I'd like to note that the recent expansion of BRICS and the growing number of applications for membership in the associations from various states testify to the attractiveness of the BRICS model of international cooperation, which, as we all know, and this is very important, which is based on mutual respect and equitable dialogue. The BRICS member states advocate a just and stable world order, which, in turn, implies strict adherence to the rule of law in international relations. Undoubtedly, achieving these goals is impossible without a proactive position of the BRICS countries' legal communities. Today we have an authoritative plenary session. The composition of the plenary allows us not only to discuss but also to outline specific solutions that will enhance the effectiveness of cooperation among the BRICS countries. We have prepared our memorandum, and we have circulated it, which is quite broad and quite substantive one. And we have an agreement that after adopting the memorandum tomorrow, we will forward it to the President's Executive Office to make sure that our ideas can be used at the Kazan BRICS Summit of Heads of States. I hope, dear colleagues and friends, that our constructive and productive dialogue will be successful. I wish all of us substantive and friendly discussions. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Mr. Stepashin, very much. Dear colleagues, now we have an address, a video address from Mr. Sergei Lavrov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Dear colleagues, I cordially welcome the organizers and participants of the BRICS. Dear colleagues and friends, I cordially welcome the organizers and participants of the BRICS Legal Forum, which is being held in this format for the 9th time already. Over the past years, the forum has established itself as a reputable international platform, providing highly professional lawyers with an excellent opportunity to share experience and applied knowledge in the field of regulating various spheres of public life and interstate relations. To better understand the specifics of legal systems, participating states and associations in order to strengthen comprehensive legal cooperation between them. I am pleased to note that the central theme of the forum, law safeguarding a just and fair peace, meets the demands of the times. It is no secret that the countries of the so-called collective West, led by the United States, are seeking to derail the existing international legal system and replace it with their own rule-based, Western-centered world order. For its part, the Russian Federation is firmly committed to the principles of the Charter of the United Nations and their completeness and interrelations. We believe that unconditional compliance with the universally recognized norms of international law is an essential component in shaping a more just multipolar world order that takes into account the cultural and civilizational diversity of the peoples of the world and their right to control their own destiny. It is gratifying that our position enjoys the broadest support from like-minded countries and the BRIC countries of other world majority states. The agenda of your meeting is quite substantive. A wide range of important issues will be discussed, ranging from international justice and the legal dimension of international trade to legal aspects of sports and energy cooperation. I'm confident that the forum will be held in a constructive manner and will contribute to enhancing the effectiveness of legal interaction, developing common approaches to regulating various areas of cooperation within BRICS. I wish you fruitful discussions. Dear colleagues, allow me to give the floor to Mr. Konstantin Chuchenko, Minister of Justice of the Russian Federation. Mr. Chuchenko, you have the floor. Dear friends, dear colleagues, I'm glad to welcome you at the 9th BRICS Legal Forum. The forum is an authoritative international platform that brings together leading global experts, legal community, representatives of public bodies, and creates opportunities for open and, more importantly, dialogue based on trust. The program of the forum clearly shows that the BRICS countries' lawyers can cooperate on a variety of topics in using one language, the language of law, based on universal values, based on equality and justice. For the Russian Ministry of Justice, strengthening cooperation with relevant bodies of BRICS countries is a high priority. Yesterday, Moscow hosted the first BRICS meeting of Minister of Justice BRICS countries. We substantively discussed the priority areas of cooperation, and it was evident that this format of meeting is in high demand. The Ministers of Justice reaffirmed the attractiveness of the BRICS model of cooperation, which is based on the absence of dominance of any single countries. All the decisions are made on the consensual basis, which makes everyone sure that their voice will be paid attention to. From legally speaking, BRICS is not an international organization, but still it is different, beneficial different from other formats of international cooperation. Respect for sovereign equality and the supremacy of international law in regulating international disputes is of greatest importance. BRICS countries make up a tremendous potential in terms of economy and the population number. In order to fulfill that potential, we need to enhance relations and cooperation based on the principles of human centricity and the stability of civilian relations, the balance between private and public interests. Law is a key to organizing such a community of people, and as lawyers, we are conductors of these principles, implementing them in all the possible spheres. That is why bringing the legal systems closer is something that we need in order to develop this cooperation. Let me focus on particular areas that have a systemic character. The first one, ensuring access of civilians to legal information in the BRICS countries. This is an integrated activity that includes a number of activities such as information sharing on national law and legal practices, and sharing best practices on a wide range of issues in the area of law. A great number of languages, cultures, and legal traditions in BRICS countries. This task is of particular importance. We see interagency documents on cooperation with ministers of justice with a number of countries, including South Africa, Iran, China, and we going to continue this cooperation. The next area of cooperation is harmonizing our relations to legal regulations of relations with trans-border cooperations. Ministry of Justice of the Russian Federation, as someone who represents Russia in the Hague Conference on International and Private Law and participating in a number of other international platforms, such as at UNCITRAL working groups, see that we need to continue harmonizing and unify legal norms. BRICS countries can become an independent platform in this process. The third promising area of cooperation is developing mechanisms of international legal assistance and other forms of cooperations in the area of justice. The Ministry of Justice of the Russian Federation is in charge of concluding interstate agreements of rendering assistance to citizens on extradition of prisoners and so on and so forth. These agreements are in high demand for law enforcement bodies in order to address practical issues such as recognizing judicial decisions, for example, the search, the extradition of illegally transferred assets, and many other areas, including to family and social rights of citizens. These international agreements constitute the legal space ensuring free movement of goods, services, capitals, and people in between the territories of various countries. With BRICS, we have bilateral and multilateral agreements envisaging cooperation in various areas in the area of justice, and we continue to broaden these agreements. It's important not only to broaden the number of agreements, but also create fundamentally new forms of cooperation. The Ministry of Justice of the Russian Federation has certain achievements in trans-border cooperation in various areas, including information exchange, the property of debtors, and so on and so forth. We're actively developing proposals to digitalize our activities. We are ready for substantive exchanges of proposals with the law enforcement bodies of the BRICS countries. The fourth important area of cooperation is developing institutions of dispute resolution with foreign participation. I believe that
now the economic importance of BRIC countries is growing. That's why these institutes or mechanism of trans-border dispute settlement is becoming crucial. Our countries are very close in spirit. We have to move out of the Western world view and to provide for the representation of each country in the international arena. That's why we propose the establishment of the international arbitration with the BRIC countries' involvement. The fourth area of the development of law is the counteraction for sanctions of unilateral character. The BRICS countries have to develop their own anti-sanctions that would defend the countries against economic pressure and sanctions. So this forum shows that we are moving towards the creation of multilateral world, and our main objectives are world justice and peace. So I wish you successful work. Thank you very much, Minister Chuchenko. Thank you for your speech and for singling out important components of our interaction. They are values, justice, and fairness. Now the floor is given to Mr. Sergei Rybkov, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. Thank you. Sergei Nikolaevich, Sergei Vladimirovich, Vladimir Nikolaevich, Sergei Vladimirovich, Your Highness, dear ladies and colleagues, it's a great honor to be here in front of you. I'm not a legal expert. I'm a Sherpa of BRICS countries, but I join all the welcoming words addressed to the participants of the 9th Forum. Over the last years, the forum has become one of the most authoritative venues for the expert exchange of opinions among the legal community of the BRICS countries. Looking at present challenges, we understand that this work to harmonize our approaches in the frame of the BRICS is of paramount importance and a great demand. It's a real imperative for us. It's also important because we have new members and the interest towards our activity in the frame of BRICS is growing on the part of global community. So the topic of our session, safeguarding the legal order and a fair world, is becoming more and more important when we are moving towards a multipolar world. And it actually coincides with the slogan of the BRICS chairmanship, that is strengthening multipolarity and our joint security. And this objective can be achieved only if we resort to legal regulation. And for this, we need to build a just and fair system of global governance that would take into account the interests of all the participants. And it's possible to achieve only if we stick to international law standards. And such a fair and equal dialogue is possible if we do not resort to dictate or to pressure or to unilateral rules. The system of international law based on objectives and principles of the UN Charter is subject to test for resistance. The West continues its attempts to adapt international law to legitimize its own hegemony, and it uses unilateral actions, measures, and concepts that are far away from international law, calling them rule-based order. And this is against UN Charter, and they use conceptions and notions aimed at providing their own selfish and narrow interests. The gist of this line is anti-Russian sanctions and measures introduced by Western community headed by the US. These sanctions exert very negative and tough pressure on chain of supplies, on logistics, on collective efforts to provide for the sustainable development. These forms of protectionist barriers as secondary restrictions, extraterritorial use of restrictive demands is the direct way to infringe and violate sovereignty of the states and interference into their domestic affairs. The countries of global majority now understand that these sanctions, unilateral sanctions, mean attempts at any price to restore the dominance of the West countries in the global economy and policy. These measures represent a direct challenge to the whole system of law and the mechanisms of international cooperation and trade. West resorts to a new legal law warfare, and they are quite open about it. It means the use of international law and international justice system as an instrument to pressure other global players. And they also resort to hybrid wars in many parts of our planet. Moreover, they use the international courts as International Criminal Court, the various specific tribunals, as for example maritime law, and they also want to set up specialized tribunals and commissions in this objective. So it's very difficult to find justice because these bodies are discredited, and states have to refuse to take part in litigation because the conditions are not fair there. But there are some entities that still have an element of independence, and there West is losing their dominance. And so Russia has managed to have two important decisions in international courts. First of all, with regards to Ukraine in the International Convention on Financing International Terrorism and racial discrimination. This litigation has been underway for more than 8 years or even 10 years, and it has become one of the most significant cases. And the International Court, in its final decision taken in January this year, denied all the accusations. It was proven that Russia has not been sponsoring any terrorist activities, and Donetsk and Lugansk republics are not terrorist entities. And the air accident of the Netherlands plane to Malaysia was not a terrorist act by Russia. So that means that if there are no terrorists, the conclusion is that Ukraine has been shooting down civilians, and that means that it was just a a massacre of dissent of those who are against the government of Ukraine. So Russian anti-extremist legislation is not discriminatory, and Majlis of the Tatar people do not violate the convention. It's another sentence by the court. So the plan of Western countries to recognize Russia as a sponsor of terrorism has been thwarted. Western lost in another important case against Russia that was initiated after the special operation was launched about genocide. The accusations were absolutely absurd. Ukraine and its Western curators affirmed that Russia violated the Convention on Genocide because Russia tried to defend the people of Donbass. But Russia managed to prove that the special military operation is explained by the need to protect and defend the peoples in these republics. And even the evidence of 32 states did not help, and the International Court denied all the accusations and agreed with our main arguments. Thus, these two sentences or rulings by the International Court were in favor of the Russian Federation, and it means that the influence of Western countries has not reached its peak yet. I'd like also to point out the following issue: our interaction with the BRICS. We improve our cooperation in legal sphere, and it's one of the most important aspects of our cooperation. Here we can say that we have achieved certain success. We have held a number of summits and other meetings. For example, the summit of justice ministers, and we've mentioned it already. As we understand, they discussed very important issues as relating to providing legal assistance in executing sentences. In June, in Sochi, Forum of Supreme Courts of BRICS countries was organized, and they discussed various aspects of courts and legal proceedings. The joint statement showed that our positions coincide with regards to law enforcement, though there are various specifics in our systems. We have many things in common. In St. Petersburg, there was a meeting of prosecutors, and they stressed the importance of law supremacy in the fight against crime. We also developed dialogue of law regulation in the frame of BRICS with regards to arbitration, and we've mentioned it. Sergei Anatolyevich has mentioned it. We also have developed a concept of international arbitration of BRICS countries. And in March, we held the first meeting of the representatives of the respective agencies, where the Russian initiative was presented. And we plan to have another meeting at the end of this year. I cannot but stress that the program of today's forum covers the discussion of very many important aspects of law, and I'm absolutely convinced that your work will make an important contribution in this area. So I wish all the participants interesting discussions good luck, and I celebrate you on the awarding of the order. Thank you very much. Sergei Alexeyevich, thank you very much. You've given a very detailed analysis, and you are quite optimistic about the functioning and viability of international law. Now the floor is given to Tatiana Moskalkova, Commissioner for Human Rights in the Russian Federation. Tatiana Nikolaevna is making huge efforts to help many people survive. Dear Vladimir Nikolaevich, dear Presidium, dear colleagues, guests, today we have a very high representation in this hall. And for me, it's a great honor to be here with you and to talk to you. And I'm going to talk on the most important topic, world justice and peace, law in a fair world. And of course, the central place is taken by rights and freedoms of people, human rights and freedoms, fundamental freedoms, and we have to defend and protect these fundamental values. They have been enshrined in all the international documents, treaties, and in the Russian Constitution. Today, the BRICS countries, chaired by Russia, put forward a very important idea about strengthening multilateral world security. So what do we mean by justice, fairness? It's one of the most complex categories. And even in ancient times, philosophers tried to disputed what it was, and we continue these disputes and discussions. In social sector, that's a balance between wage and labor. In global world order, it means the basis of evil and good, and the fight between these two aspects. So it's also is based on respect for moral values of the human society. And of course, the most important values are peace, right to life, health, or just happiness, and justice. And it's possible only when we learn how to respect the traditions of each other in peace. And when we stop imposing our own notions about human fundamental rights and freedoms and forms and methods of their protection. And the BRICS countries are united by this approach in understanding a just and fair world order, which is based on equal respect for right to life, labor, education, health, social guarantees, environmental issues.
Attempts to impose your own understanding on other states of what is right and what is wrong and how to protect them, based not on those norms elaborated by the international community, recognized communities, but rather on some rules, as has Mr. Ryabkov pointed out, and Mr. Chuchenko, the Minister of Justice today. These attempts to replace law with certain notions, conceptions, will inevitably lead to the violations of human rights and the sanctions, that is, this mass responsibility of people who are not to blame for anything, the unlawful attitude to a foreign citizen's property abroad only because that citizen was born a Russian national, or only because they adhere to pro-Russian interests. Certainly, all of that disrupts and undermines the entire system of legal protection. We have gathered here today in order to discuss how to develop the just world order, how to protect it, what mechanisms and guarantees we should come up with in order to ensure peace and protect our world from these unlawful actions by some actors. Mr. Ryabkov mentioned those bodies that are trying to dominate and violate human rights in order to please those who consider themselves to be more civilized than others, that they have more advantages and have more priorities than others. Russia, at various venues, has been in favor of setting up a just world order and a safe world order. And there are three important highlights that should be mentioned when it comes to discussing human rights within BRICS countries. The first one is a global task for all countries. This is a global one, something that brings us together and unifies us. The declaration adopted last year in August in South Africa after the 15th BRICS summit particularly highlighted the need to unification and cooperation of all countries in the area of encouraging and protection of human rights, fundamental freedoms in accordance with the principles of equality and mutual respect. Every category deserves a very profound discussion, and I'm convinced that today's forum will make a considerable step forward in this direction. It is on that integrated, comprehensive basis should we base our activities in order to ensure human rights protection in all BRICS countries. Protecting human rights is a sphere that calls for the participation of all public and civil institutions. Today, unfortunately, we witness fewer and fewer civil institutions. I am working with a great number of most active grassroots organizations, civil society organizations, NGOs that help us work with over 5 million of people who have been evacuated from Ukraine to Russia in search for protection and security. And what we see is how active civil institutions are in Russia, and not only in Russia, when it comes to rendering assistance to those who have found themselves in dire situations because of the aggression. Human rights protection envisages this consolidation between public bodies on the one hand and civil society institutions on the other hand, consolidation between the entire progressive international community. And today it is important that what we see is not only a broader geography of BRICS countries, but also a broader range of issues in which we cooperate, and human rights issues previously were not high on the agenda, but now we used to focus on economy, say, political issues, educational issues, and I'm very happy, I'm very glad that it is the first time that the BRICS Legal Forum will feature a joint session of ombudsmen of BRICS countries. We have familiarized ourselves with the experience of those countries, the experience of those human rights commissions, foreign ombudsmen's activities, and what we see is that our experience, Russia's experience, can also be in demand and of interest. This hall accommodates a lot of ombudsmen from the constituent entities of the Russian Federations, from Russian regions, and our tools to protect human rights are of great interest both at the regional and federal levels. And I'm sure that they will be of interest to the entire international civilized legal community interested in making sure that we have a just, happy, and safe world. I would like to wish all the guests in Moscow the brightest impressions from the forum, and let me wish all the participants of the forum fruitful discussions, good health, and may all the rights of all those present be never violated. Thank you very much. Ms. Moskalkova, thank you very much indeed. You several times mentioned the very complex category of justice, the category of justice which is very complex, that you related to the category of happiness. Indeed, I think this should be one of the serious aspects for our discussion. And why is that? I am sure that we are always looking for justice, and we should understand that every time when we're looking for justice, each and everyone has his or her own historical understanding of that category. When it comes to human rights, I believe they were born as a result of great tragedies of the recent war last century, and as this historic period evolves and develops, we certainly should go back to our roots to make people think about what these categories mean. Dear colleagues, allow me to give the floor to Mr. Anatoly Torkunov, a member of the Russian Academy of Sciences, rector of MGIMO University of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Torkunov, you have the floor. Dear participants of the forum, respected panel, I think all of us have been listening with great interest to those speakers who have made their interventions, and I'm sure that we will demonstrate similar interest and attention will be shown when other speakers address our audience today. I must say that as a host of this forum, as the rector of MGIMO University, I must express how proud I am and how inspired I am that MGIMO was chosen to host the 9th BRICS Legal Forum. When we were getting ready for that, considering together with our colleagues from the Russian legal community and were considering the agenda, we tried to take into account the various aspects of legal associations activities that are quite successful in many BRICS countries, including those who are represented here and those countries that are planning to join BRICS. And I must say that we did strike the right balance. We did find the relevant emphasis that would make it possible for us to focus on those problems that are of particular importance both to the BRICS Association itself and to each and every individual country. Certainly I'm talking about issues related to harmonizing our law systems, issues related to very important issues of today such as arbitration, investment, issues related to trade cooperation that will be on the agenda at various sessions. Also, we should mention the human rights issues. Ms. Moskalkova mentioned these important issues. As we already know, there will be a separate session dedicated to that, and it will be of great interest both to our students and the participants of the forum. I must say that the fact that the forum is hosted by a university, MGIMO University in this case, is quite symbolic. MGIMO University is one of the leading Russian universities that soon after the Second World War, which set up a legal, international legal department, and people who graduated that department played an important role in establishing international legal system. Mr. Krov, for instance, participated in elaborating the UN Charter. Professor Zadorozhny actively participated in the developing space law provisions. Professor, head of the Department of International Law, is a leading expert in Arctic law, Mr. Velikzhanin. So, for many years, and MGIMO celebrates its 80th anniversary, we've been trying to address legal issues, and in this respect, for us, as for any other university, and here we have rectors from many legal universities and research centers, it's very important, our research activities and our cooperation in area of education with our BRICS countries. I should regrettably say that the existing network BRICS University does not envisage legal programs. And I think this is something that should be changed. We should discuss at our forum an opportunity to start a relevant legal problem at the network BRICS University. At least I can certainly say that our students, our postgraduate students, are very much interested in that area and are ready to cooperate in this sphere. I should say one of the incentives for lawyers today is to study languages of the BRICS countries is the fact that thanks to knowing languages, they will be able to study national law systems of those countries in greater details and view, look at that legal systems, look at that law from the angle of developing cooperation with Russia. And I believe this forum will become an important impetus to that activities. I know, and let me say that, such activities are underway every once in a while. We have a week of legal systems of certain BRICS countries, China, India, Iran, here at this university. But we want to have this work on a regular basis in a systemic character, and we want to do this together with the representatives of the legal communities of the BRICS countries and the legal communities. We all know that legal communities try to cooperate with BRICS countries, universities, and I do hope that this topic will be discussed at the forum today and we will come up with relevant recommendations. And I'm about to mention one more thing. MGIMO University as a university that trains specialists in international relations and diplomacy, have trained quite a few specialists, people who specialize in BRICS countries. And I'd like to boast that out of 10 BRICS member states, 8 embassies in Russia are headed by graduates from MGIMO University. I hope they will also play a positive role in fostering this cooperation, cooperation between legal communities becomes even closer and more productive. So I'd like to wish the participants of the forum, above all our guests, a pleasant time here in Moscow and pleasant and fruitful discussions here at the forum. As we see, the weather is gorgeous in the second part of half of September, which is quite a rare occasion here in Moscow. So I hope that you will have both fruitful work and pleasant time spent in the beautiful capital of Moscow. The best of everything to you. Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Torkunov, thank you very much for your hospitality and for your proposals to fill in the gaps in the curriculum by adding legal subjects to that. Allow me to give the floor to Deputy President of the Russian Academy of Science, member of the Academy, Director of the Institute of Legislative and Comparative Law under the government of the Russian Federation, Ms. Tilia Khabrieva. Ms. Khabrieva, you have the floor. Dear colleagues, dear guests, participants of the forum, Mr. Moderator, I'm grateful to the organizers of today's forum for the opportunity to address the plenary session of today's forum. As MGIMO professor, and I've been working here for 26 years now, I am proud that at long last I have given this opportunity to address the audience right after the rector of this university, which is quite thrilling. I should try to be talented in addressing you. I think I should focus on cooperation between legal communities of the BRICS countries that have received little attention so far, because the agenda includes quite a few difficult and complex issues. But I think you will agree that the forum's focus on cooperation between legal communities of the countries calls for greater equitable dialogue between researchers and scholars. Indeed, we have certain specialized sessions. Session number 1, by the way, which is quite symbolic, is going to be dedicated to higher education and science, and I'm convinced that it will be of great interest. More than that, we will expand the recommendations that we already have and add something to that. What I want to focus on is that the topics we will be dealing with at the forum is of great importance as an important stimulus for the international scientific legal community. We have an opportunity not only to compare notes, but we have an opportunity to bring the scientific agenda up to date. Let's admit, for many years it was determined by the influence of the West, which was aimed at promoting the legal values that were not very easily accepted by our legal communities. And in this respect, I find it important to say that the importance of BRICS in developing a just world order, something that has been mentioned on numerous occasions, should not be viewed only in economic terms. For instance, we keep saying that the BRICS countries' potential equals the potential of the so-called G7, and even sometimes exceeds that. Well, I'm sure that we should be aware of the cultural and humanitarian mission of the BRICS countries. This angle at the BRICS countries opens up new, broad opportunities for all humanities, not only for law and jurisprudence, to discuss the BRICS phenomenon and the processes underway in the world, including within BRICS countries. As Deputy President of the Russian Academy of Sciences and someone who's in charge of the humanities in our academy, I would like to confirm the high interest, the great interest of relevant researchers in studying these relations in all their complexities. I can say that the fundamental research program of the Russian Academy of Sciences of up to 2030, the issues related to BRICS countries, occupies a very important place. I should admit, though, that we're talking about fundamental research related to sociology and economics, but I'm sure that our lawyers and other specialists will update their research programs, and adjustments that we are supposed to make by the end of the year will make it possible to broaden this range of research conducted by the Russian Academy of Sciences.
I also to draw your attention, dear colleagues, that cultural and civilizational dimension of BRICS are very important to form a whole general worldview and the doctrine. We can have here many research projects, for example, to look into BRICS from the angle of different types of civilizations and to focus on different kinds of values that serve as a foundation for the BRICS countries. Let me remind you that adherence to international law is one of them. The recognition of the key role of UN. It means that these civilizations are of traditionalist type. What do we mean here? That means we are after restoring the traditional type of relations at an international level and the recognition of law and order. So these are specific features of the civilizations that make up the BRICS. We also can see other aspirations. For example, the accelerated economic growth, and it means that it shows the technogenic character of the civilization. So these are new aspects, new types of civilizational development that means the rapprochement of basic traditional values. So we can make a conclusion that the BRICS shows that we witness the rapprochement of cultures and traditions, though it doesn't mean unification, and the recognition of equality of cultures. And the Minister of Justice has just said it. And BRICS, it's not only legal innovation. These terms are quite fashionable. First of all, it's a civilizational phenomenon. And we have to understand it and to use this understanding in the definition of the nature and content of these BRICS. Moreover, there are more and more countries who want to become part of the BRICS. BRICS countries have unique legal system with their own values, their own references. As you know, we include the most ancient civilizations of the world, and we conduct research on comparative legal aspects, and we are ready to share our methodology with you. The topic of BRICS is becoming a subject of research, not only of lawyers, but also philosophers, economists, and many other researchers. Both in Russia as well as abroad, we lack research in this area that expand our knowledge, our understanding of legal aspects of the BRICS countries, of legal practice. For example, we in Russia have issued over the last 5 years now more than 15 monographies, papers. They focus on taxes and civil law. And though the interest arises with regards to other aspects, for example, we have defended 7 theses on economy, sociology, and 6 on law of the BRICS countries. That means that research in the area of law doctrine of BRICS is still valid today. There are other topics, and I can speak about the contribution of law of our Institute and Academy of Sciences, and we can mention some pioneer papers relating to some general issues as related to the development of integration in Eurasia. But I think now I'd focus on our expectations. What we have to understand that what would become relevant, though will have relevance, for example, in such issues as the transfer to our own settlement systems, the rising importance of our own banks. And here we have a very good basis. For example, in our institute, we have finalized research on global reform. It consists of 16 books, and it helps to evaluate the importance of constitutional reform and the changes of our understanding of the development of law under the influence of technological progress. By the way, one of our discoveries was that the BRIC countries were the first to meet the challenge of technological imperative, and there were special chapters on this topic. For it. The constitutions of China, Egypt contains provisions on the issues, and even Russia. So I can state with certainty that the renovated constitution of Russia enshrines new approaches to the governmental functions. There are a number of articles that stated, and the priority is security in informational technologies, and it's reflected in the constitution. It means that we can conduct joint business because we have constitutional guarantees in this area. And we need another important thing. What we need to do is to conduct to make a joint analysis of legal aspects, legal practice with regards to new technologies such as biotechnologies, artificial intelligence, and many other issues. So we have to move forward. We have to organize discussions in this area. And first of all, our priority is artificial intelligence. So we have to make a legal identification of artificial intelligence, and it will help us to protect our technological sovereignty. Another thing we need to do is to support the initiatives put forward by the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Justice and the Russian Academy of Sciences. We would like to increase publication activity, including the researchers from the BRIC countries, and maybe it would be a good thing to create bilateral and multilateral quotation index base. And the leading legal magazines should be included into the indexation, into the prestigious indexes. And I think we'll discuss all these details at our panel discussions, and we'll be make a contribution into the creating a base of common single legal space of the BRICS countries. And I also would like to congratulate the university on the high award. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, it's of a paramount importance to be able to understand each other, and so publications and research are very important. Now the floor is given to Mr. Viktor Bajev, rector of the Kutafin Moscow State Law University. He's also co-chairman of the Association of Lawyers of Russia. Good morning, dear friends. It's a great honor to be here with you today at the 9th forum organized in Moscow. I would like also to express my gratitude to the Law Association for the invitation to take part in this very representative forum. For us, it's a real honor for our university. As it has been stressed today, the BRICS is a dynamically developing interstate entity or association. We have identified strategic areas of development: trade, innovations, a digital economy, sustainable development, food security. And in order to develop all these areas, we need to have develop legal cooperation between our countries. So the legal climate in the BRIC countries will play an important role here. The law can be a driver of the development, and it can eliminate barriers for the cooperation. We've got together here in this hall representatives of various legal professions, of representatives of government, of state. So we can take part in the panel discussions that are interesting for us, and we can give our own expert opinion that will help to develop all these issues. I am interested in education and legal science and law, and we'll have a panel discussion where we will exchange opinions on law education and its development, and how we can join efforts in our training of legal experts for the future that who would be able to be competitive in the future. Given the cooperation between BRICS countries. So the digital economy is a challenge to law as well, because digitalization is becoming part of our profession. Of course, we resort to artificial intelligence. It facilitates our work, but at the same time, it's also challenging. We need specialists who would be able to deal with artificial intelligence and to keep it in control. Another important dimension is a humanitarian one. We can see as in the Western model there is a transformation, and not for the best, for better, but for worse. And we do not agree with it, and we are against it. And so in the frame of the 2030 priority, we have such a topic, innovational jurisprudence, and we are trying to develop our own doctrine of human rights protection. And I'm sure that we, the BRICS countries, have many common approaches and points. Another important issue is to develop the bodies responsible for cross-border dispute resolution in international trade, and we need to create specific bodies of the BRICS countries. Because the traditional centers of arbitration are not available, they've become too politicized and we cannot use them. But we need our own bodies who would consider the disputes that arise in our countries. So the topic is very interesting, and I also invite you to this discussion. Another important topic is sports law. Again, we have many impediments here. The Olympic Committee suspended the Russian Olympic Committee, and our athletes cannot represent Russia in international competitions. And now we are thinking about creating other kinds of international competition contests in addition to the Olympic Games. And so we have to discuss it at our panel discussions. We, as a university, come up with the suggestions to develop educational dimension, and we support Mr. Tokunov's ideas that we have to develop education. We have common approaches and doctrines. We have joint programs. They are bilateral programs with some of the BRICS countries. There are some models that are included into the training programs, and we again cooperate with many BRICS countries. So another interesting question is the rating of the law universities, rating of the BRICS countries. And so it's an innovation, another important issue in an innovational venue where the innovational projects implemented in the BRICS countries could be presented. So I congratulate on the beginning of our interesting work, and I wish you success and interesting discussions. Thank you very much. Now the floor is given to Vice President of the China Law Society, member of the Standing Committee, Vice Chairman of the Social Development Affairs, Mr. Jin Hanchao.
Honorable participants, Mr. Lavrov, Mr. Chuchenko, Mr. Valery Falkov, heads of BRICS countries delegations, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Good afternoon to all of you. As the golden autumn unfolds, we have gathered in the beautiful city of Moscow to attend the 9th BRICS Legal Forum. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the forum, and it's the third time it has been held in the Russian Federation, and it's my first time here at the forum, and I'm glad to be present and to attend. On behalf of the China Law Society, I extend warm congratulations to the Russian Federation on conducting such a major event. I also sincerely thank the Russian Federal Bar Association for its thoughtful arrangements. And also I offer my heartfelt greetings and best wishes to the representatives from all BRICS countries present here today. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China and the 75th anniversary of establishing diplomatic relations between China and Russia, which is a momentous occasion for joint celebration for both countries. Over the course of 3/4 of the century, Sino-Russian relations have gone through a number of challenges, but they have emerged even stronger. Both countries have forged a new path of harmonious coexistence and win-win cooperation between major neighboring countries, and that benefits both countries and their peoples, while at the same time contributing wisdom and strength to the pursuit of international justice and fairness. The world today is quite turbulent, and we're witnessing serious transformations. We are facing unprecedented challenges today, primarily related to security, dilemmas, and ensuring multipolarity, as well as the need to create a community of one destiny. All of that has been publicly and internationally recognized. Our practical cooperation in BRICS continues to grow as we create South-South platform of cooperation and introduce more stability and certainty and positive energy to the rest of the world. This January, BRICS countries reached an important expansion, increasing the number of participants to 10 countries. After the expansion, the BRICS countries amount to half of the global population, and we occupy 1/5 of global trade, thus becoming a crucial force to realize the idea of a multipolar world. The waiting list, so to speak, for BRICS membership continues to grow as more and more emerging markets and developing countries aspire to join BRICS. As of now, the mechanisms of cooperation of BRICS countries and our joint common friends within Belt and Road Network continues to grow and shows considerable growth in terms of people who support us. Behind this lies the widespread awakening and united self-reliance of the global South countries who are unwilling to remain on the sidelines and would like to join their efforts. Similar historical experiences, common development tasks, and similar stances on international affairs have prompted the Global South countries to respect one another's chosen development paths in their cooperation, treat each other equally with an open mind. Emerging markets and developing countries have contributed 80% of global economic growth over the past 20 years, with the share of global GDP rising from 24% to over 40% in the past 4 decades. The collective rise of developing countries is an irreversible trend, and the Global South is fundamentally reshaping the global development landscape. In this historical context, it is especially important to explore the role of law in ensuring BRICS countries achieve their development goals. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the rule of law is an indispensable foundation and guarantee for BRICS cooperation. In 2014, legal experts and scholars from the 5 BRICS countries gathered in Brasilia to jointly launch the BRICS Legal Forum. Over the past decade, legal institutions in BRIC countries have focused on issues of common concern, forging consensus on key issues and taking collective actions. A golden ticket of legal BRICS cooperation arrived as a result. The forum's influence has continued to expand with growing recognition from all parties. All of that makes it a very important platform for BRICS nations to discuss the rule of law and address global governance challenges and make relevant decisions as well. This year's forum marks the first time new BRICS members are participating, and we will engage in in-depth discussions on how to strengthen pragmatic cooperation under the new BRICS STEM framework and lay a solid foundation for greater BRICS legal cooperation. China places great importance on developing the rule of law. We have seen a great number of historic achievements. President Xi Jinping has made a series of significant decisions and plans to comprehensively advance the rule of law in China, which, as I've said, led to historic changes and achievements. The report to the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, for the first time, dedicated a whole section to the comprehensive implementation of the rule of law in the governance of China. We highlighted that it's a profound revolution in national governance and proposing the goal of building a modern socialist country in all respects under the concept of the rule of law. In facing numerous risks and challenges, President Xi Jinping, with a historical and global perspective, has emphasized the need to uphold the international rule of law, unwaveringly safeguard the UN-centered international system and the international order based on international law. He proposed coordinating and regulating relations between countries through institutions and rules. At the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee that was held this July, made systematic plans for deepening reforms even further and advancing the Chinese modernization effort and significant decisions to improve the system of socialist rule of law with Chinese characteristics. It was suggested that we should strengthen foreign-related rule of law development and accelerate the building of a foreign-related rule of law system in order to be in line with the demands of high-quality development and high-level transparency. This will create favorable legal and external conditions for the steady progress of Chinese modernization. It will also provide new opportunities for legal cooperation for countries worldwide, including the BRICS nations. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, BRICS cooperation now is at a crucial stage of development. It brings together past achievements and opening up new horizons. We are aspiring to new achievements. The BRICS countries share broad consensus and common goals in the field of legal cooperation, and BRICS legal cooperation has great potential and quite a promising future. The China Law Society is willing to work with all parties on the platform of the BRICS Legal Forum to seek common ground while respecting and reserving differences, grasping the general trends of the times, and by leveraging the ambitious role and lofty responsibilities of the greater BRICS, safeguard international fairness and justice. I'd like to take this opportunity and propose three things. First, jointly boost BRICS economic development and spread a BRICS voice of rule of law in support of the multilateral trading system. The momentum of world economic recovery is still unstable, and international institutions predict and believe that the medium-term prospects for global economic growth will be far below the historical average, and achieving sustainable development goals remains a long way off and calls for considerable effort. At the same time, protectionism and unilateralism are intensifying, seriously undermining the international economic and trade order and the global development environment. The BRICS legal community should follow the historical trend of economic globalization by taking the lead in practicing true multilateralism, jointly safeguarding the multilateral trading system, opposing decoupling, disrupting industrial and supply chains, setting up fences and barriers to maintain the stability and smooth running of global industrial and supply chains, and striving to create a safe and stable law-based business environment for the common development of emerging economies and developing countries. Second, jointly accelerate the construction of the forum mechanism to contribute BRICS legal solutions to greater BRICS cooperation. The expansion of BRICS has brought significant opportunities for related countries to widen practical cooperation in the legal field. Upholding the BRICS spirit of openness, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation, we should support each other on issues of core concern, continuously consolidate the political mutual trust of BRICS cooperation, and safeguard the common interests of BRICS countries. We should make the most of the advantages of the so-called Greater BRICS in resources, markets, in extending dialogues with legal institutions and multilateral organizations in emerging markets and developing countries, and enhance the magnitudes of the BRICS mechanism's influence. We should fully leverage the advantages of legal institutions, which in building popular support in pooling the wisdom of the local people to strengthen the popular support for BRICS cooperation and promote mutual understanding among the peoples of BRICS countries. We should build on the momentum, effectively implement the consensus reached in the declarations in previous fora, strive to incorporate the outcomes of this forum into the summit's outcomes, and further promote the project-based, specific implementation of BRICS legal cooperation to propel the in-depth and practical development of the forum mechanisms and ensure the steady, long-term development of greater BRICS cooperation. The third proposal I want to come up with, we should jointly improve and innovate rulemaking and provides BRICS legal paths for strengthening cooperation in emerging fields. The digital economy, green development, and AI are emerging frontiers of human progress. The legal communities of BRICS countries should better unleash the potential of legal cooperation by creating political cooperation, enhancing opportunities, and sharing best practices. All of that creates growth opportunities for BRICS countries. We should explore solutions for online disputes in cross-border e-commerce, create a transparent and predictable legal framework for e-commerce, as well as strengthen cooperation in consumer protection. We should jointly apply innovative approaches to major legal problems in the fields of the environment and climate, as we address the challenges of the times. We should assume joint responsibilities in the era of artificial intelligence by improving innovation rules and governance on the conditions of full participation in consensus building. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, there is an old Chinese saying, accumulate earth to form mountains, accumulate water to form seas. After 10 years of solid accumulation, the BRICS Legal Forum has become a source of robust force for the BRICS legal community to go ahead despite the existing and new challenges. 10 years of hard work resulted in 10 years of fruitful harvest. Standing at the historical threshold of a second golden decade, the China Law Society is willing to remain a like-minded fellow traveler with the legal communities of other BRICS countries, uphold the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, and adhere to the concept of a community with a shared future for mankind, and based on the precious experience of the previous decade. We assume great responsibility and understand the spirit of the time. We will enhance our legal cooperation and shoulder responsibilities to come up to challenges. I wish the 9th BRICS Legal Forum great success. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for this substantive intervention, and which contained a number of practical proposals too. Allow me to give the floor to the head of Iranian's Center of Lawyers, Official Experts and Family Advisors, Mr. Hassan Andolianpour. In the name of Allah, Merciful and the Almighty, I would like to start by expressing my gratitude to everyone here. Your Excellencies, dear guests and participants of the forum, before I start my address, I'd like to thank once again all the organizers and of today's forums and all the people working in the legal bodies in Iran who work on a daily basis trying to develop and train relevant personnel. And our center, we have more than 100,000 members that render various types of legal services and assistance. I would also like, on behalf of all the members of our center, to thank the organizers of today's forum once again. Also, I would like to thank the chair of the Association of Lawyers of Russia, as well as other colleagues. I'd like to thank the leaders of the MGIMO University for this wonderful opportunity to address the plenary session and for having me here. All the proposals, all the practical proposals coming from the legal community of the Islamic Republic of Iran should be taken note of when we develop legal cooperation among BRICS countries. Our specific proposal is as follows. We need to set up a joint center of the BRICS countries to assist legal cooperation related to international law, as well as to set up a specialized master's program that would be run by that center. We would also like to propose creating 2 legal schools of the BRICS countries in order to engage in sharing experience of lawyers from all our countries. We also suggest setting up a research center that would undertake legal studies, particularly those related to those countries whose rights are violated on a regular basis. We would also like to create a scholarly journal dedicated to practical legal issues that would be indexed in all international databases. For us to be able to better understand one another, we are also in favor of conducting international forums in order to attract investments. We also call for conducting university professors and legal community forums. As from my point of view, this is of utmost importance that would help us promote legal research in our countries and would result in best practices sharing among university professors of our countries. We also believe that we should invite specialists from other areas to participate in forums like that. Apart from education, we should also have in mind the need to enhance the professional level of legal specialists in our countries. I believe this is one of the important priorities of cooperation within BRICS.
We also have to seek strengthening international cooperation in legal issues, in holding international research fora of academic community that would be dedicated to the issues of international trade, human rights protection, and social development issues, including the protection of rights of women and children. We believe that this area is of paramount importance, should be of paramount importance, and a priority for the BRICS countries. We need to establish a mechanism that would facilitate the settlement of international disputes. It would help to exchange knowledge in such areas as family issues and others. We also have to strengthen cultural and research ties to hold respective workshops and seminars to invite leading representatives of culture and academic community. We have to organize a cultural exchange for young people of the BRICS countries and to conduct law reform in the countries. These reforms should focus on our common problems and challenges, and we have to find a joint solution. We also have to find ways to settle crises and to implement projects aimed at protecting intellectual property rights on an international level. We also have to provide legal services in the BRICS countries and to strengthen the potential of legal diplomacy. For this, we need to create respective working groups that would help all the BRIC countries to strengthen our interaction in law. And for this, we need to create an international network and online platform in order to support innovational development of the BRICS countries. We also have to support the establishment of the mechanism aimed at removing all the contradictions in the BRIC countries with regards to the protection of human rights. It would be one of the most important areas, and it should be based on our best practices and our previous experience. We have to take into account the experience of each other in this area, in human rights protection, to share our best practices in improving legal regulation of this area. We have to strengthen our cooperation in the issues relating to the development of informational technologies, environmental protection, and especially we should focus on joint projects in this area. Another important issue is sustainable development. We have to organize and hold meetings of experts of specific areas that would analyze the problems related to the environmental protection. We also have to support those experts and advisors that work in legal, that work in law, jurisprudence, international jurisprudence. We have to develop law, our interaction in international law, and all the enumerated measures may promote sustainable development and the relations between our or among our countries. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much for your presentation. And now we need to move on and to give the floor to Mr. Bruno Barata Magalhães, Vice President for International Relations, Brazilian Bar Association.
Representing our 1.4 million lawyers in Brazil, and as the Vice President of the Brazilian Bar Association, and on the behalf of the Federal Council of the Bar. In one more BRICS Legal Forum, this is my second time in Russia, first time in Moscow. The first one was in St. Petersburg in 2019, so it's very good to be here again and to know this beautiful city. I bring with me the warm greetings of our President, Beto Simonetti, who extends his best wishes for the success of this forum and its important discussions that we're going to have in this today and tomorrow. So as we gather here under the theme, Law Safeguarding a Fair World, it is essential to reflect on the role of BRICS nations in promoting not only the economic growth, but also justice and fairness in the global order. The recent expansion of BRICS with the inclusion of new member countries has solidified our position as a powerful economic bloc. Today, BRICS Plus nations collectively account for over 30% of the world's GDP and more than 40% of the global population. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent the real potential for reshaping the global economy and fostering inclusive development. However, economic power alone does not guarantee fairness. It is through law that we safeguard equity, justice, and stability in our societies. The BRICS model of cooperation is built on the foundation of mutual respect and equal dialogue. And it's through the rule of law that we can ensure these principles are upheld. Whether in domestic governance or international relations, the law must be a tool to protect the rights of all people and to create frameworks that promote sustainable and equitable growth. BRICS Plus countries are not only emerging as economic leaders, but as champions of a fair world. As we lead advancements in technology, trade, and workforce development, we must also lead in the creation of legal standards that foster fairness in this new global reality. The legal communities of the BRICS nations have a crucial responsibility to ensure that as our economy grows, our legal frameworks evolve to protect justice, human rights, and sustainability. This forum, the 9th BRICS Legal Forum, is not merely a gathering of legal minds. It is a platform where we, as legal practitioners, scholars, and policymakers, come together to discuss how law can continue to be a safeguard for fairness in an increasingly interconnected world. The discussions we have here today and tomorrow will shape the future of our cooperation and our collectively ability to address the challenges of globalization with fairness at the core. The topics we will address, like legal education, dispute resolution, artificial intelligence, and ESG, are of common interest and for sure are impacting not only the legal profession and the justice system of BRICS countries, but the society in general. That's why the discussion we'll have today and tomorrow are very important and will shape not only our future, but the current present. As we look to the future, it is clear that the success of BRICS Plus depends not only on economic strengths, but on the legal foundations we build together. I look forward to the insightful exchanges that will take place here and to our continued collaboration in the safeguarding a fair and just world for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Now we give floor to Mr. Kumar Prashant, President of the Bar Association of India.
Good morning and namaskar. Friends, on September 12, the Foreign Minister of India, Jaishankar, was questioned on the sidelines of UN events in Geneva about India's position on BRICS and why BRICS. The minister answered, yes, BRICS is there because you created a club called G7 and the world changed and you kept that club as it is. So we had to create something which aligns with the realities of the new world order. And friends, these questions coming, though you know, BRICS is questioned on several grounds that you don't have a treaty, it is not a cohesive platform, the platform is loose. But the very fact that each year there are so many questions which are asked about BRICS shows its and affirms its relevance. We launched this forum in 2014, but the concept was thought about in 2012 in New Delhi during the visit of a delegation of China Law Society. And it is China Law Society and Bar Association of India which put the basic framework for the other BRICS countries to work, and that was adopted in the first meeting itself in 2014 in Brasilia in December. For 10 years, I have attended and worked for achieving the objective of every single forum, and it has given me immense personal satisfaction. Today also, our delegation in full measure is here, despite the fact that International Bar Association, of which we are a member, is meeting in Mexico. But we have chosen to place all our strength in this initiative because this is close to our heart. This is where we can make significant and real contribution in shaping the new world order and in bringing it to the alignment with the new realities of the world. BRICS, with now BRICS Plus, our new colleagues joining, almost represents half the population of the world. And a person who comes from legal community, from legal fraternity, we all believe and abide by the principles of what is called the rule of law. Two linchpins of the rule of law are equality before law and right to life. But in international order, forget about institutions, forget about United Nations, forget about all other platforms for the time being. The world confronted a big crisis in the form of COVID-19. And that demonstrated that when it comes to a global challenge, which affects the humanity on the globe equally, without discrimination, whether the global systems can work with so-called under the values of the rule of law or equality or have equal respect for the right to life of all. That never happened. It never even came close to happening. Whereas certain privileged populations had access to 4 to 5 even doses of vaccine, there were populations, there were continents where the vaccine was not available. That is where my personal faith in this initiative not only got reaffirmed, but my zeal to work for it doubled. Because this is a place where we have to reimagine the existing systems and we have to evaluate them on these two benchmarks of fairness and equality. Now, fairness is not only restricted to life. It is right to good life, which means economic progress, which means everybody, every single citizen of this globe having opportunity to grow, to have access to basic amenities, to improve their lives, which requires a very well-functioning economy. And today in globalized world, these economies, these economic systems work under the frameworks which are established, which are taken as given. We take them uncritically. We adopt them uncritically. But as I said, the COVID-19 showcased that this uncritical acceptance of things which are supposed to be based on such principles in practice may not be so. So we had a very good, being globalized citizen, I could travel everywhere with my MasterCard, Visa, and other things, and suddenly we find that because of whatever reason, I cannot use them in Russia. The SWIFT system has been restricted. Then again, we see that even in dispute resolution, if the contract says that you have to resolve disputes in London or in Paris or in Singapore, and we have big trading partner in Russia. And if these institutions are written in the agreement, where to go? So it is not only Russia which suffers, it is also the ones who are or who had been operating in this globalized environment suffer. The parties from India suffer, parties from China suffer, parties from Brazil suffer, parties for all other countries in BRICS Plus and outside suffer. Their options are taken away from them in a manner in which they have no decision-making contribution. That's why the legal forum, not only the projects which we have taken on in terms of structuring a network of dispute resolution institutions to create frameworks in which commercial arbitration and mediation can be instruments where we can resolve our disputes, because remember, the world of dispute resolution has a two-way division. That division is that a market which thrives on disputes. There are institutions whose only job is to resolve disputes. Their business is resolving disputes. Their revenue is resolving disputes. Their money comes from resolving disputes. And those disputes are not from their jurisdiction. In 80% of the cases, none of the parties belong to the jurisdiction. And that is where we have to see that in our jurisdictions, in the emerging world, where the focus is shifting, where the manufacturing, where the economic generation is shifting, we should be able to create our institutions where we resolve disputes, where the market is for resolution, where the disputes are, resolution is a mechanism which propels the economic activity rather than hindering it, rather than becoming a net negative cost on it. We have to see to it that whether it is international investment dispute resolution or commercial dispute resolution, it is done in a way that we lose, the parties lose minimum of economic value. And they continue to function in a manner, to the extent possible, where they can resolve their disputes and keep on contributing to the economic well-being of the nations where they operate in, even the private parties. That's why I think we have spent now a decade on this forum. It is high time we give practical shape to this initiative. And I'm very hopeful that after the new development bank, the dispute resolution system which this forum is able to create will be the next practical, solid contribution to the BRICS mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much from your speech, from your heart. Yeah, thank you.
Now allow me to give the floor to the Secretary of the Party Committee, Professor of East China University of Political Science and Law, Mr. Gua Weilu. Dear guests, participants of today's forums, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. On behalf of the East China University of Political Science and Law, I have the honor to address the plenary session as one of the co-founder of the BRICS Legal Forum, and my address will be devoted to joint activities on ensuring political and legal wisdom to the development of humanity. The world now is facing a situation of great changes, and China is committed to supporting and maintaining peace all over the world. Xi Jinping emphasizes the need to set up a world order based on international law and a community of shared future of mankind. And I'd like to convey the commitment of the Chinese people to seek mutually beneficial development. In developing human society, various countries and regions and stages of history face various challenges and problems and obstacles. Our conflicts that arise due to the disparity in values and goals, that's inevitable. However, people are equal as well as countries are. We should mutually respect each other and cooperate with one another, exercise tolerance, and maintain international order based on international law. Joint response to global challenges, maintaining fairness, and contributing to sustainable development, strengthening peace and security and prosperity all over the world. This is what our country wishes for, and this is also our responsibility. We should join forces and work together. I'd like to share with my ideas on two issues, if I may. The first one, international law, is the basic norm of cooperation between states, a norm of international relations and a basis for harmony of international community. When addressing global problems, international law serves as an important foundation, and a key to maintaining international law. Based on this law, it lies in maintaining the international system and preserving it. And the United Nations plays a key role in it, and the main international relations norms based on the UN Charter and should be based on that. In multilateral cooperation, we should continue to strengthen our cooperation and jointly address joint challenges and global problems facing humanity. The countries should respect the fundamental interests of each other and remain open in order to be able to cooperate. As an emerging market, BRICS countries have an important responsibility of developing South-South cooperation and stimulating global economic growth, maintaining international fairness and justice. We should contribute to technological, cultural, R&D area, as well as the need to foster our cooperation in jointly addressing external threats. And we should also improve international legal system. Secondly, lawyers from BRICS countries should make a bigger contribution to developing international law and order based on international law. We should pool our efforts and resources to create a community of shared future. The BRICS countries are unique in that they have a unique historical past and a legal culture. Our differences give law experts various perspectives, which make it possible for us to come up with various legal solutions based on our national legal systems. Therefore, legal researchers scholars should be even more active in developing international law and reconsidering, revising it. We should seek to contribute a legal framework that would be in line with the needs of BRICS countries, countries with emerging economies, thus contributing to exchanges in international trade, investments, and protection of the environment. To do so, we need to closely cooperate, interact. We should deepen our cooperation on the basis of the legal forum that we are attending now today. I believe those aspects of our activity are of utmost importance. They are as follows. We should first, as often as possible, convene research conference on various topics in order to be able to provide a platform, a venue, an opportunity for discussion and opinion exchange of BRICS countries' lawyers, for them to be able to share their best practices and share experience, for them to be able to understand the advantages and benefits of various systems, and to promote innovations and the development of legal theories and practices. Secondly, we should strengthen our cooperation in the area of nurturing talent. We should jointly work on such strategies and tactics. We should enhance cooperation in order to better learn the international legal norms and the legal norms of our respective countries. Xi Jinping asked us to speed up the training of foreign talents in the area of rule of law in order to make a more important contribution to cooperation between China and the rest of the world. And from my point of view, law specialists should intensify their joint visits, mutual visits, in order to understand the rule of law better, which could give an important impetus to implementing international law and to the development of international law. And I'd like to see students from the Russian Federation at our university in Shanghai. I would be more than happy to welcome all of them to participate in our forums. Thank you very much. Allow me to give the floor to the Vice President of the Law Society of South Africa, Mr. Nkosana Vandela.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I will, in the best interest of time, observe protocol as already observed. This is my second attendance of the BRICS Legal Forum, having attended the one in South Africa not so long ago. Ministers present, the chair, and all the relevant senior officials, the organizers of this conference, receive greetings from the South African Law Society of Lawyers, and also all the advocates and all the legal practitioners in the country. I appear before you on their behalf by reason of the two positions I hold. One is the president of Black Lawyers, because South Africa has for the longest time been defined within the context of race, and hence the term Black Lawyer still finds relevance today. And also as the Deputy President of the Law Society of South Africa itself. And I greet also my colleagues from the country present here. This forum gives us an opportunity to review the progress made this far since its inauguration 9 years ago. It gives us an audit, for lack of a better term, of the work we seek to achieve throughout our interaction every year, to create a common legal order of doing things in order for us to answer the question, how do we process every other contract that finds itself in a foreign territory? And so that in the process of attracting that investment, how do we then protect those investments from business persons from our own jurisdictions as BRICS member countries? How do these investment programs affect the rights and privileges, if any, of the ordinary people in the countries where those investments are implemented? How best do we ensure that those contracts do not come in to erode the basic human rights of the citizens of those countries? To address also the stumbling blocks in each other's backyard, this forum, BRICS Forum, gives us an opportunity to develop a thinking of equating the unequal. How do we ensure that those countries come in to join BRICS, as they just did now, in order to take BRICS to the 9 member countries, as called BRICS Plus, and the many others that are waiting on the sidelines to join? How do they find the rules that we have created as the founders acceptable for them to be able to participate? RSA, to a large extent, is at the receiving end of the need for these investors, as our economy is reeling and our people are unemployed. The levels of poverty is alarming. Therefore, the creation of rules protecting the investors should always accommodate the essence of the protecting the human rights measures, protective human rights measures within South Africa in the light of its own new constitution. Law is created by politics, but politics creates the law rather, but the law regulates those politics. Therefore, in our political discourse as BRICS countries, we should be at all desirous times welcoming prospective investors, but those investors must be willing to participate within the economies and the laws of the country in which they find themselves. It's true that in cases of dispute, one would want those disputes to be resolved very quickly. And the lawyers in South Africa are educated well enough to be able to participate in that space and to be able to be of use. You cannot have contracts that are drafted by foreign lawyers coming into the country and being interpreted only by those foreign lawyers, when all the other local lawyers are supposed to be participating. Therefore, in the very same spirit that we want to be able to have the principle of non-domination, we must be able to enforce a system that requires all the other local practitioners and professionals in every other country to participate in that mainstream economy. We must be deliberate in creating change of the order of things as we see them, as we see how negatively those rules have become within the context of the UN general rules. We must, if we are exactly unhappy with how the G8, the G6, and the G20, at all times that they meet, would talk about us as developing economies, as a probable harvest environment for them. We must be able to demand that amongst ourselves, we do not reincarnate the very same principles that they come with. Because you can't go and object to a rule somewhere else, but you come and apply it yourself. In essence, you are rejecting it because it affects you there, but you want to come and impose it because it suits you this side. So we should be able to reject that kind of thinking and have a narrative that calls upon all of us to relate at a level that accepts that our economies were never meant to be equal. Let me borrow for 1 second, Chair, from my Indian brother and ask the question, 9 years on, we have been talking to each other. Is it so difficult to find each other? Is it difficult because the local laws do not give us opportunity, or is it difficult because we are talking across each other? We cannot keep talking. As a South African standing before you, I can tell you now that the economy of South Africa is where it is not out of its own making, but it's because at the negotiations of 1991 to 1993, nobody asked the question, what's going to happen 30 years from now? And what do we want to see? We wanted just to see a constitution. And having obtained that constitution 30 years on, we are sitting with 33% unemployment. We are sitting with 70% unemployment of black people in general. And we are sitting with almost 10% of the educated unemployed. And to that extent, we cannot sit and continue to talk. We must be able to be the change we want to see. If we are not going to create it, then let's stop the fuss. Let's stop talking to each other to impress each other because we met today. A year on when we meet, wherever we're going to meet, we must start, Mr. Prasha, we must start counting the benefits of these conversations. We must start reflecting on what have we done this year in the light of this particular resolution. And if we can do that, then we will be making movement and we would not be misleading each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I that we will be drivers economic and other development.
Mr. Kabashev, Chairman of the Committee of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation on Science and Higher Education. Thank you. Dear colleagues, dear rector, dear moderator, it's a great honor for me to greet you on behalf of the chair of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly, Mr. Volodin. I support all the proposals that have already been made so far related to the tasks the forum faces. I'd like to draw your attention to the importance of inter-parliamentary cooperation of the BRICS countries, because the parliamentary institutions that represent people are conducive to developing a law on the basis of a balanced public interests. I'm convinced that the forum we are attending today will contribute to developing trust on the basis of our legal dialogue, would make it possible to substantively and comprehensively discuss the conceptual key issues related to the legal systems and international law, and to go far ahead, as our colleague from South Africa called on us, to work out practical and strategical approaches to the existing problems, especially related to the fair world order. I wish you a healthy and fruitful discussion. Thank you very much, Mr. Kabashev. I'd like to convey my gratitude to the chair of the State Duma, Mr. Volodin. Now, I would like to give the floor to the board member of the head of the media center, Chief Cairo Bar Association, Mr. Ahmad Mahara. I would like to greet all of you, dear ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues. I represent the lawyers of Egypt. I would like to convey their greetings and the greetings from our trade unions. And we planned for a legal trade union to be present here, but unfortunately the situation in our country prevented him from joining him. It's a great honor for me to address such a plenary session and to greet you. And I'd like to take note that indeed we have gathered today to discuss very important issues of cooperation between lawyers and legal practitioners of the BRICS country. This is a momentous event that is being held here in Moscow. We're meeting at a very important at a time of important transformations and changes, at a time when there is a need to strengthen our cooperation. The BRICS countries, Brazil, India, Russia, China, South Africa, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, Egypt, all of us represent now the countries that are capable of rapid development.
الاقتصادي والحوار السياسي.
And now we see that it's very important to develop relations among our countries. And we think that will enhance our cooperation that would enable us to make a breakthrough. We'll cooperate in law as well. We need this cooperation in law. That would allow us to achieve our objectives, important objectives and outcomes, including in the economy. So priority is law. If we agree about it, we'll be able to make a breakthrough. Our country, Egypt, has many advantages, including its geographical location, and Russia has a very high authority among our countries. So we need to use all these advantages and advantages of other BRICS countries and to achieve our goals. All the BRICS countries that participate in today's forum are aimed at creating a fair and just world order and moving towards it. For this, we need to improve the criteria we use in our law practice. And with the help of our cooperation, we will be able to reach all these objectives and to overcome all the difficulties and bottlenecks. So we will act in order to ensure fair world, and one of the priorities is law education. It will help to learn more about each other. That's why we need to develop joint educational programs that would include students' exchange. And for this, we need to be in touch, in dialogue, to exchange our ideas about law, and it will help facilitate our measures to improve the economic situation. So it boils down to reforms, law reforms. We have to make an analysis of legal basis, legal frameworks, and the current criteria that serve as a basis for the for international law. For example, the role of monopolies, transnational corporations, and their role played in the world. It's a huge challenge for law. So we are confronted with important challenges, and our bar associations are capable of developing efficient mechanisms that would provide guarantees for example, investors and other economic players. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that the cooperation in law of the BRIC countries sees a lot of challenges, and we have to find solutions that would facilitate the development of the world in general and will strengthen justice. So our activities should take into account the global changes that are going on in the world, and we need to build bridges to exchange our best practices and experience. As far as the future of law is concerned, I think it will be based on our efforts, whether we are really involved in it. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Adil Fakir, board member, head of the Media Center, Emirates Association for Lawyers and Legal. Good afternoon.
Esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests from everywhere, it's our honor to stand here before you today as representing our association, Emirate Association for Lawyers and Legal. We are gathered not only as a legal practicing, but as an advocate for justice, integrity, and the rule of law for our beloved nation. Our association decided necessity to respond to the thank you so much the Russian Bar Association and to accept them invitation for this beautiful forum. We have a slogan in our association saying that sharing everyone towards globally. That means from this point, we are happy to have a collaboration with all association of the BRICS Forum members. To be shortly related to other point in our association, that we have lot of teams which is created from the association board chairs of directors, that teams to cover many type of requested or related to the society, which is part of them AI, which is article intelligence team, forums team, other association related and collaboration team, etc. Our members or the board members, what we have, it is 9 board members with other 2 branches under covering more than 1,600 of lawyers plus legal, not only the advocate law firms. Finally, I would like to thank you for your attention and look forward to our discussion today as we cooperate again and work together to shape the future to our legal professionals. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So the president of the Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association, Mr. Tevodros Getachew Tulu.
Lawyers Union, Palu. Dear Honorable Chairman of the Forum, dear leadership team of the host bar, the Russian bar, distinguished bar presidents from all BRICS countries, participants, ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you all, or salam, as you may say in Ethiopia. I'm honored to address you on this occasion of this prestigious BRICS Legal Forum. I also consider myself as a lucky bar president to deliver the first ever speech to BRICS Legal Conference representing Ethiopia. I'm fully aware that this is a meeting of paramount importance as it is being held among our brotherly institutions and the bar associations. It was my intention to attend the forum in person. Unfortunately, due to force majeure, last-minute schedule changes, that I will not be able to be with you in Moscow. Please accept my sincere apologies by myself and in the name of the Ethiopian Federal Bar. Ethiopia passed the first ever legislation establishing the Statutory Bar Association as a legal professions national representation in 2021. Accordingly, the Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association, EFAA, has been established by law under the Federal Advocacy Service Licensing and Administration Proclamation number 1249/2021. Leading the countries to have the first ever statutory bar association, membership of which is mandatory for all more than 7,000 law firms and practicing lawyers at the federal level, leaving the more than 20,000 of lawyers at state levels. This was a big win for the lawyers community in the country. It could not be true without the continuous struggle to have a strong, independent and mandatory bar associations by consecutive generations of lawyers here in Ethiopia. It was indeed an excellent demonstration of the major achievements of the legal reform undergoing since 2008 in Ethiopia. As we speak, over 7,000 law firms and licensed lawyers are currently practicing at the federal level, and all the federal advocates are automatically members of the Bar Association, making the Federal Bar Ethiopia's largest professional regulatory organization. The current legal reform also recognizes the Federal Bar as one of the 5 core justice institutions in Ethiopia, together with the Federal Supreme Court, Ministry of Justice, Federal Police, and the Federal Prison Authority, showcasing the government's commitment to acknowledge and make use of the proficient expertise of thousands of federal lawyers practicing in the country. To give a little bit of historical context here, prior to the establishment of the Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association, EFAA, by proclamation number 1249/2021, the Ministry of Justice oversaw the advocacy, licensing, administration, and regulation. However, there was no compelling legislation requiring attorneys to join a professional organization. In a short period of time after its establishment, the Ethiopian Federal Bar Association is achieving remarkable milestones nationally and in the African continent. Currently, it's one of the 4 bar associations leading the African institution. I myself has been appointed as the Vice President for the Pan-African Lawyers Union Palu, which is the continent's premier legal forum consisting of all the 55 countries' bar associations in 8 regional bodies. Participating in this legal forum is also a significant milestone for us, as the BRICS Legal Forum stands to be a very important platform in promoting rule of law, quality of justice, in enhancing a quality of legal service by law firms and lawyers, and promoting cross-border legal services. It's also exceptionally relevant in exchanging the information regarding the judicial system, enforcement agencies, the legal practice and advocacy of each BRICS member country. The forum is even more relevant in this challenging post-COVID era, characterized by significant shifts in economic, social, and geopolitical landscapes. Amid the widespread economic challenges such as rising inflation, public and private debt, cost of production, inflation, living cost, forums like this promotes fairness and rule of law. Lack of fairness, human rights abuse, marginalizing the poor, impunity rather than rule of law, human rights abuse, arbitrariness from the political groups are a danger for humanity. We as a legal community must play our leading role in promoting equality, fairness, justice, and prosperity in this world. I realize the huge potential the BRICS group in the global space can offer. As we strategize our presence on the global stage, maximizing the role of lawyers in overcoming the aforementioned and the other challenges is crucial in navigating the complex interplay of the diverse factors. Regarding the legal practice, there is a lot to work, especially in bringing our legal professionals to deliberate on issues of important international and regional law networks, professional ethics, and practical tips, also to have a healthy work-life balance. Reflecting on international arbitration, there is a huge gap to be filled by a concerted effort of we, the leaders of the Bar Association, our institutions, leading lawyers, law firms, the government offices, and other relevant stakeholders. International arbitration not only provides a neutral forum for resolving cross-border disputes, but also overcome the challenges regarding the unfamiliar and complex domestic procedures which are usually disincentive for the parties. Corporate practices, including business setup, trade and investment, due diligence, merger and acquisition, corporate dissolution, licensing and liability agreements and the like are among our weak links that we should work on aggressively. For this purpose, I propose to strengthen our formal and informal regular meetings in various modalities, in addition to the prestigious formal sessions like today's. My brothers, my sisters, I wish I could be there with you in person so that we can discuss on our multifaceted bilateral and multilateral issues. Myself and my office will be happy to explore all the options to meet virtually and otherwise to discuss this further with all of you. If you have any queries, questions regarding the legal practice or anything else concerning Ethiopia, please feel free to contact us. In the coming October, from 16th to 19th, Ethiopia and our Bar Association is hosting the 14th PALO Annual Conference. I invite you, all my sisters and brothers, to come to the vibrant city of Addis Ababa and to share the best experiences here. Finally, I want to congratulate my colleagues from the Russian Bar and Honorable Chairman on all the collaborators for successfully hosting this event. I wish you a productive and successful deliberation and a memorable time in Moscow. I thank you.
Allow me to give the floor to Mr. Stepashin.
I'd be very brief. First of all, I'd like to thank our moderator for his wonderful moderation. I agree with my colleagues. All of you have spoken that we need not only love and just speak, but we need to come up with very specific, serious proposals that would be presented to the leaders of our countries. For example, we talked about it with our president, Vladimir Putin, and they expect from us some very specific steps. And the messages have been sent from our other leaders from the parliament, and I'm not going to read it. Just it stresses again that we are confronted with the nefarious consequences of the sanctions. So Mr. Mishustin wishes us all success in our work, and again He stresses that the priority is our practical measures and steps. And I was a prime minister. I know what it means. So I'd like to thank you for a good beginning, and let's continue in this way this day and tomorrow. Thank you very much, and let's meet at our roundtable discussions.